Hi, this is Keith Furrow, the trust name in real estate along the Gulf Coast. Today I want to talk about flood insurance. Now, I'm not pertaining to be an expert in flood insurance, and I strongly recommend you talk to your insurance professional, or an attorney or whoever, but I strongly recommend it. But I'm going to give you some ideas or some thoughts, so you have some ranges and some information. Now, the first thing it comes down to is what's your risk tolerance? What are you, somebody who has a 10,000 to 30,000 in car insurance, or somebody has 100, 300, 1 million, 2 million? That's a personal choice. Same thing with flood insurance. Many of the areas in the North America and Florida don't need flood insurance based on what most people would say. It's very subjective. If you had river backup, if you had a pond backup, if you had all these different things could happen. I mean, I've been on mountains that had lakes. Well, they're on a mountain and it's got a lake. So obviously, just because you're sitting on a hill doesn't mean you'll never do flood insurance. And if you look at Florida's environment, it's mostly sand. Well, there's a reason it's sand, and the blacker soils because of the vegetation has fallen down over time and created the black soils. One time, most of Florida, if not all of Florida, was underwater. Just is what it was, and it will be again. Climates change. Not going to be political. They do. They change. It never stops. I lived on the beach for 20 years, and I never saw the shoreline the same 2 days in a row, ever. It changes. The animals change, the angle, because nature is always out there trying to break us back into the goo, back into the ocean, so that she can make us again. That's just the way it works. And we're talking about everything, okay? So I want to get religious, but it's important to understand. Things are breaking down, and water's really good at it. Okay, now, different types of things. Now, typically, if you don't have mandatory flood insurance, the cost is usually $500 or so, but it can range from $500 to many thousands for when you have mandatory. Now, even in some of your low risk areas that still have some risk based on its, the beautiful areas are by the water, the beautiful areas are by the bayous, the beautiful areas are by these things. So you have to balance the risk of your tolerance versus what you're going to get. I prefer to live by the water. I prefer to live where I'm a minute away from. That's my choice. I pay more for it. Okay, now, typically the thing to understand, unless you get a Lloyd's of London policy or a special flood policy, they typically max these at about $250,000. And you have to understand and you're speaking to somebody here who's lost one full home and 3/4 of a home. So I've been down that. And so when you realize that there's windstorm coverage, there's flood coverage, there's normal HOI, homeowners insurance, there's risk coverage, get with your professional, break down what type. You've got loss of use coverage, you've got all these different things. And so when it comes down to flood insurance, it's very important to understand what it is you're buying, is it required, and is it something you want to do. I would strongly recommend to always buy it no matter where, unless you're super high up in a condo or something, but then your association's going to have it for the grounds in certain areas. So, but I've actually seen on a 5th or 6th floor where water drove in through the doors with horizontal rain. That's why the newer sliding glass doors, and we don't do as many French doors on those condos, they're usually sliders, and they got a deep V. So when the water gets up there, it has a chance to go away. So these are the kind of things that you really want to consider. Again, I recommend it. It's well worth it. And from a long-term perspective, it's a way to be safe. Keith Furrow Associates. Before you go, if you like us, like us. If you got feedback, give it to us. We're not saying that we're an expert in everything. We just want to offer some ideas. And if you got ideas of what we can talk about, we'd love to do it. If you want actual more information, get a hold of us, and we'll be glad to help you. Keith Furrow, Trust Name Real Estate. Have a great day.